Okay, so yeah, thank you everyone for joining. It's day 9 of AI ML for developers at One Dev, and today we are having Mr. Nehemiah again to take us through another section, another enlightening and educative section on AI and ML for developers. And yeah, thank you guys for joining. So without further ado, without wasting too much time, Mr. Nehemiah, you can actually have the floor. You can have the mic and get started. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very, very much, Aisha, and welcome on board, everyone. So today is yet another day to learn something, and I begin by first of all sharing the screen. Guys, let me know first of all, how are you doing on your end in the chat section? And also someone can confirm with me if you're able to see the screen and I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible, and yes, you are able to see the screen.
Yeah, great. Now let me just see some confirmation, guys. You're doing well in the comment, then we can begin. It's good to check on one another before we start. How are you doing this evening or afternoon for the Nigerians? Okay, that's wonderful. That's great. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, so today we want to learn about Git and GitHub. But then before we go there, we need to fix first of all the issue that we had last time, because I told you that the packages is a very important thing to understand, to or maybe to know in Python, because mostly you'll be working with packages, and uh, when I go to this other window, is it sharing? Is it the desk? I'm not sure if it's the desk or window. When I go to the VS Code, you can still see the screen.
Yes, I can still see the screen.
Okay, thank you. So last time we were actually struggling to get the output. The reason was, like in Python, we have a module, like an inbuilt package called math. We have an inbuilt package called math. So when you create like your package name math, then it's going to contradict um, with the inbuilt package in Python called math. So whenever you are creating like your packages, you make sure that you want to use something that is not an inbuilt, or maybe it's not a package that like you cannot create, for example, something like NumPy, because NumPy is already created package. So like you just want to like create something that is unique. So the issue that we were struggling last time, it was just these math, because when you create a package, like it will be accessed like a system-wide. So whenever you use the init, I think I'll repeat it, but then when you create now this init, you are referring, or maybe you're making this a folder quite unique, like making the folder to be not a normal folder, but a package. So we need to refactor so that it will work very well. So in this case, I'll need to just add in something so that it will not be math. For example, I could say math utils, something like that. But then I'll need also to update where it is being used. So for example, so we've updated like the package folder to be math utils. Now where you are using, now you'll need to do it, you'll need to change the name to specify the folder math utils, like that. Also here math utils. Okay, like this just a sample name. You could have used like something else. So let me run this one and see. uh, all right. So guys, let me just begin it afresh so that you'll understand everything better. But then now the essence, or maybe the thing here is that the name was the contradicting issue. So let me first of all just begin afresh so that everyone will understand, including those who are just want to, or maybe who are new to packages. We had introduced it last time, and I want us to learn more about the same. I want us to learn more about the packages, because this is the one that I will be using on this Git and GitHub, like to push the code on GitHub, and also to pull in case you want to do the, or maybe you could clone, or maybe perform all the Git and GitHub, okay, Git commands in the GitHub actions. So basically, I want to delete like this folder. Let me just clear the folder. Okay, or maybe let me create it in the file explorer. So let me delete this folder, and okay, I need to first of all close on the VS Code so that it will not have an issue. So let me delete it. I don't know why it's not. Okay, yeah, it is deleted. Let me delete it. And then I want to just create a new folder, like an empty folder, so that you'll understand how everything is created from the very scratch. So I'm going to call it just packages or any other name. Packages. Okay, let me just call it packages. I don't know if there's another name. Okay, there's another name. So let me just say, okay, one dev packages. So this is just a new folder that I've just created with the graphical user interface here, File Explorer. And then when you click on it, it's just empty. So this is the folder that I want to open on the VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So we showed you how you can download the Visual Studio Code last time. So once you download and install, you open. Sometimes the interface, you might have the welcome screen. But then for me, I removed that screen because I didn't want like to have it anytime I open. Then there are some changes that I tried to demonstrate last time on the Visual Studio Code setup, like changing the theme color, changing the theme color. You go to the file, you go to the preference, theme, color, and then you can choose your preferred theme color. So, for example, if you want this abyss or whatever, this that kind of dark, you'll see the difference there. And also when you, so for me, I don't know, I'm used to this one, this color, a dark high contrast, but then you can choose whatever you wish. Then the other thing that I included in this, or maybe updating this VS Code is to add in this auto save feature. Because you'll notice that sometimes you might have the like a lot of change, or maybe sometimes you've written like a many lines of code, okay, like a many code, and then by mistake you find yourself that you've closed this VS Code. So you can notice that those changes will not be saved. So you need to like rewrite again. So these auto save features, when it is checked like this, like anytime you write the code, it's going to automatically save it. So those are the changes that are, or maybe the configuration that I think would be useful on your end as well. And then, so we are opening what the folder for our package. So this is the folder that we've just created. And then let me just open it. And then I don't want to even to use something like math. Let me just call it package. Like at the folder, let me just call it package because at this one I'm sure it's not in the, it's not a built-in package in. Okay, let me just call it one dev, something like that. But then remember that whenever you're creating the package, it should be somehow descriptive. It should be somehow descriptive, like depending on the content or maybe what it's trying to do. What it's trying to do, or maybe if you just want to use a unique name, make sure that you provide a documentation about it. Like for example, NumPy, they have like a very robust documentation because it's a unique name, but you'll understand what it does because of the documentation. We are going to talk about those markdown commands on how you can create the documentation, the README files, and all that. But then now to create the package, you need to add in this file inside your folder. So if you don't add in this file, then it's going to be just a normal folder. But then if you add in underscore init, underscore, and then a .py, then it means that this folder is a package. This folder is a package. And then now we want to create now the modules because we said that a package is like a collection of modules. And the modules, these are code libraries. Like for example, you don't want like to have like a many lines of code on your main program, or maybe let's say just want to have like a reusable code or a component. Like for example, now we will be, for those who will be taking this program, we'll be using pandas or maybe those machine learning packages. So you notice that these are already solved, or maybe they already built algorithm. Ours is just to use it. So we're trying to do the same here, but then on a smaller scale so that to understand how the packages work. So perhaps I could call it, for example, I don't know, we called it calculator last time, I think, calculator. I think I could have even just copied the code, but then let me just type here calculator dot py dot py. So you want to make sure that the names that you are using for your files, it's very semantic, like it has some meaning, so that people know that this module is for doing the calculation. And then last time we were trying to create a class, a calculator, and I would say that whenever you're creating the classes, it's a good practice to use the Pascal case naming convention. A Pascal case naming convention, like when you go to the Python exceptional proposal, they recommend us to use Pascal case on the classes, and then on function you can use the camel case, and then for variables you use the underscore or maybe snake case. We talked about it last time. Now, in this one, we want to create just, I don't even want to add in the properties. Just I want us to create some method here. Okay, some functions. So the function that I want to include here is like, so the function that I can include here is like for addition, subtraction. So let me say addition. Lack of, like you can give like powerful functions or maybe powerful names. But then in this case, let me just use this one. First of all, to show that you're inheriting or maybe you are using this, like this is a method, you need to begin with the self. So the first parameter or argument in a class, whenever you're creating a method, just to associate it with your class. And then here you can have what A and B or whatever it is. And then after it, we can do it, we can have a return. Remember, return is similar to the print statement, only that the return statement, you can return, like you can expose the data. For example, in other application, like you can return the JSON files or maybe data. You can return the HTTP responses. You can still debug. You can still, okay, not debugging actually, but then you can as well return the response as well at the console. But then return statement, it has like a many use cases. It can return data for any different formats. But then print statement, that's strictly for displaying at the console. But then this return works similar, only that it has additional functionality. So in this case, I want to have, for example, A plus B, and then let me just have several. Like here, I could call it, we were calling it subtraction, and then I think a multiply or multiplication, multiply, I think it's some shorts, and then divide, but I'm not sure. Okay, I don't think there's a inbuilt method called divide. Let me call it division. You know, the issue with Python is it is sensitive to this thing. You noticed earlier when we were using that method. Okay, when we were using the name for math, we were getting the error. So you could assume that this one of the module, that we say that a module is like a code library, and then you can create, let me just create another one for just demo. Perhaps I could call it greeting. We say that you want to make sure that your modules are very, very semantic or maybe descriptive, like represent the code or like what we're trying to solve. Then in this one, we can just have a very simple one, or a greeting function. And then in this one, I'll be passing name as an argument, similar to what we did last time. Then I'll return a very simple response here. I can use a formatted string so that I can have the variables in the inside. So I can say, for example, hello, and then a particular name. For example, okay, hello name. This is just a normal function. So these are my modules, and I will say that modules, these are like the code library. So you can have like a list of modules. You have many of them. And then what you'll do, you just like have to redirect in one source so that in future you don't have to specify, for example, one dev folder, and then you again go to one dev, then you specify the module and then the function. So what you do, you can list all this stuff in the init such that when you just be saying, for example, import whatever function from the package name. So in that case, we will you can use the from keyword import. Okay, from the calculator, perhaps calculator import. Import what? What are we importing from the calculator? I believe it's calculator, right? Should be calculator. Yeah, this one. I'm not sure if this is the spelling for calculator, but then let's just import it. And then another thing that I will be importing is from the current. Remember, this dot always represent the current directory. Otherwise, you'll have to specify the folder. For example, say from one dev dot calculator import whatever. But then now when you use the dot, it's similar to the folder name if you are in the same directory. So you'll be using the dot. So I'm going to use this greeting, and then greeting import. I think it was a greeting. So these are my modules, or maybe these are my modules that I've imported here. I've imported. Remember, if you had like a more than one function, for example, let's say you had another one for, you could say, for example, greetings. Let me call it greetings, perhaps. Then a name, and then an age. So as the argument, so I could also hello. You okay? You are age, and then old. Old. So, like for example, if you have more than one function or maybe different classes, then to import it here, you just specify here greetings. So in this case, you'll be doing what you'll be exporting. Okay, you'll be like exporting these modules that you have imported here, because you have like imported these functions. Okay, these classes and functions from. So I'm getting this greetings not accessed. I don't know. From the okay, sorry, import. Wait. From the current directory import, we were importing the greeting, and also it should be greetings. But then I don't know why it is not. It is highlighted in this way. But then we'll figure out the issue later. But then this is how you can include, or maybe you can have all the modules in one file, the init. So this way you have done what you've created the package. You've created like this folder is now a unique folder is a package. So once you have this folder, then to utilize the code now, you can create now outside this folder, you can create not inside, outside here, in the same directory here, on this one dev packages folder, you can create like the test file. For example, I could call it testing to test my module before I deploy, testing dot IPY and B. I like working with the notebook. Also, you also do because we said that in data science and of course machine learning, mostly we train the models with the notebook. And then I will say that if you want to use the notebook on the VS Code, you need to install the extension. You go to the search here and then search for extension. Okay, the notebook or a Jupyter. Just search for notes, a notebook or Jupyter notebook. Then you'll be able to see this one that has a lot of downloads or maybe installation is the one that you'll be using. It's just written Jupyter, I think, like that. Then, or maybe if you want to have this for Markdown, I don't know about this one, but this is the official one. You can see it is verified by Microsoft. So yeah, so basically we have this notebook file, and then how to test the package. What you do, you just need to specify from the package, which is one dev. This package that we've created here, it's one dev import. Okay, first of all, let me have the interpreter because select the environment, and then I'm going to use this version of Python. and then I hear from one dev from one dev import greeting. Greeting, let's begin with the greeting. And then now to utilize it, you just have to like call it. So just be calling with the argument. Okay, sorry, I can use the print, but then the notebook. Sometimes okay, you can just call the function. Let's just call the function with the greeting. And then what argument does it take? It takes, I think, only one. Let me see. Greeting, it takes only the name. So when I pass here any information like okay, like any name. Let's add in here, for example, James. We are using James. Then when I run, I think so. I can see now we are getting the output. We are getting now the output. So here you just specify what you just specify these like I just specify the package name, and then the function. If it were a function, then you just call it, and then it's going to. So assume that you have like a many lines of code. I don't know why greetings wasn't working. Let me see. Greetings, because I also had greetings. Let me try greetings in a new cell. Let me run first of all this one. And then so in this one, I'll be using greetings. Greetings, and then I take two arguments. For example, I'll say Obadiah. I don't know if we have Obadiah here. And then age, perhaps 20. Okay, it's working. So you can see now that we are using like a different functions. Okay, a different function from a different module. Like if you have several, that's how you could be importing. So like for example, if you have a lot of packages, just list them inside the init function.
Who is baby?
And then you'll be able to use it. Now, for example, if you want to, let's try to with the class. So a class still, it's the same package from one dev, but then okay, from one dev import. From one dev import, I don't know, it was calculator, right? Yeah, calculator. Calculator. And then now when you're working with the classes, you need to instantiate or maybe create an instance or an object. An object. Remember, an object is like an instance of a class. Like you have, let me show you. We talked about the classes last time. When you create, for example, this class, and then you want to create a method, okay, like an object. Is someone talking? Hello?
Wamekuja? Ni maringo pia?
Is it Edith? Edith.
Hiyo maringo fake ni
Hello, Edith. Is it Edith or who? Admin, you can try to mute now so that I'll know if there's a question or maybe just someone just talking. So like I say that whenever you're creating a class, you're creating a class. So you just create a class with this keyword and then a calculator. Now, when you're creating an object, it's like an instance of this class. Like an instance, in other words, like what? It's like another version or maybe a replica of the current class. But then you are creating one instance of this calculator. So that's called an object. So it's going to like have all these features. But then now the methods or properties are the ones that will be controlling like the nature of an object. Like for example, we say that objects is like we say that objects, these are like a representation of things. Like for example, you can have people, or maybe we can have people. So something, okay, or maybe let's say persons. So to define a person, someone will need to have what, for example, things like legs and all that. So these are the main features that defines a person, like for example, things like legs, hands, eyes, and all that. But then now, to distinguish these persons, although they have like common features like at the hand and all that. So information that control now these objects, like for example, the addressing, like information now about the object or maybe the person is like, for example, the name of the person, the age, or maybe the dressing code and all that. So the methods or maybe properties, these are the information that controls controls an object. So an object is literally it's just an instance of a class. But then now when you add in the methods or properties, like those are the information that controls or maybe defines now the nature of an object. But then the object, they are like instances of the class still. So for you to be able to use this information, then you need to first of all instantiate. We talked about these things. And to create an object, you can just call the same class. If it doesn't have any properties, then what you'll do, you just, or maybe attributes, you just instantiate without any argument. But then if you have, then I make sure that you use depending on if it's positional or maybe arbitrary arguments or maybe keyword arguments, arbitrary keyword arguments, those arguments that you have, make sure that you are instantiating your object, okay, or your class with. Now, once you have it, then you could say, for example, X, and then, for example, division, division, and then you can pass in the arguments, the first parameter A and B, or something like that, then you'll get the output. So for classes, you'll be doing this way. So you can see now it could sound like it is hectic, but then now, for example, if you have like many lines of code, now is when you'll understand the importance of working with the modules. You'll notice that you might have like many lines of code on your modules, but then on your main program, like you're just running a few lines of code. So this is the usefulness of working with the packages. Guys, let me know if today is clear about the packages. Let me know in the comment if you've understood the package. Well, because I want to shift to what? To Git and GitHub. You can confirm in the chat. All right. Robert says, okay, yeah, great. I think this confirmation is very key. So sometimes you'll want to do what you want to like set your package such that it can be installed somewhere else. So to create a package, like a fully package that can be installed somewhere, basically you need to create a setup file. Like you have to use this name, exact name. Remember, it should be outside your package here, in the same directory with your package folder. You can create a file called setup. Remember, it must be setup.py, this name, setup.py, like this, setup.py, like this. Make sure that it is in this, like it is setup.py, like the name should be like that. Then here you can say from, like in Python, we already have these setup tools in Python already. So you can say setup tools. From the setup tools, we can import. So these are the built-in packages for creating the setup. And then we can have the setup. And then also we can have the find packages. So these are the modules or maybe the function that we'll be using. So on this one, let's call this a setup function. So to call it, remember how we usually call the functions, just the same name, but then you need to add in what? So this one takes arbitrary arguments. Okay, arbitrary arguments here, keyword arguments. So the first thing that you might want to use is, for example, you could give your name for your package a name. For example, you can call it, for example, testing package, a testing package. And then the other argument that you could want to have, for example, you could use it in the init still, but then you can have it as well in the version, like in the setup files. So you can have version. Version is to specify the version of your package. Like you saw when we were installing Python, you saw there were those releases, for example, 3.12, 3. Whatever. So you include here. For example, you can say your versions versioning, you could try to use, for example, 0.01, or maybe on your end, you could choose to say 0.0.1 or things like that, like depending on your naming, but then have something for the start. And then packages here, we will be using these find packages. Find packages, it means like you want to have okay, let me just call it. Remember, it's a function, so you need to call it. And when you call a function, you must use what these are parentheses like that. So you could add in more information, including your the author of the package, so you can include like the list of the authors. But then when you click on some, I don't know, let me see. When you add in here a comma, you see these informations. These informations, and I will say that when you are creating the functions method, you can create what these docstring. The docstring is like this. Okay, let me show you how you can create a docstring first. Now we have these greetings. But then now to create a docstring, remember it can apply on a function, on a method, or maybe on a class. So you're going to do what you're going to just create here three starting. You remember string literals like three. I want to generate the doctrine, but then when I click, okay, yeah, I don't know why it is like automatically generating, but then that's fine. Let me just okay, like Python or maybe this VS Code tries to like automatically generate, but then now for your docstring you can have something like this, like opening and the closing, and then you can say, for example, and this, like, we can add in more information about the function, because the thing is that whenever you're creating the packages, you want people to understand the code. Like, for example, when you go to print statement, and then, okay, like, for example, this setup tools, when you click on it, when you hover, you can see it's going to give you like this information. So these are, maybe if you are on the notebook, when you click on Shift Tab on the notebook, it's going to like give you more details about the package. So these doctrines are very, very useful so that people understand your code well. So for example, I can say this is my greeting function. It takes two arguments, arguments, not the spelling for arguments, I'm not sure. Arguments like that. Greetings. So now, when you'll be calling, already it has already saved, but then now at this other side, for example, when you try to hover on this one, so you can see when I hover, you can see it is now displaying this information here. This is my greetings function. It takes two arguments. So those are docstrings. Those are docstring. So just to explain your code. So yeah, they are very, very useful. And you can see these guys have like a very robust one. When you add in a comma, like they are going to give you the arguments that it takes. And if it is arbitrary or whatever, so you can see the name, you can have the version, you can have the long descriptions, you can have the author email, and many other information. But then I don't want to like complicate it. Let's just have it the same way, like a very simple version. Now, for example, if you wanted to install this package, if you wanted to install edit, is it edit who is talking?
Okay, I think the person has muted. You can
All
just.
right. So if you wanted to install, all right. So if you wanted to install the package, you need to have the terminal, and at the terminal on VS Code, you just click on this ellipse. Then you click on the terminal. Like a terminals, like these are the our command line tools. So you are clicking here on the terminal, and then mine by default is going to use the command prompt CMD. On your end, it could be PowerShell or a Bash or whatever. But then you can always select the command line tool here. When you click on this drop down, then for example, if it is Bash or a command prompt, you can select whatever it is. So now to install the package, you can just use the PIP here. Sorry, a PIP. install, then I will begin with the -E, then you specify the current directory, and then it's going to install here. Remember here, the current directory here, like at the directory where the package is. So you can see now, it has done what it has installed this package. So I can use it. So you can see it is here. But then I want to show you like the proper way, because you want like to install it somewhere else and utilize it perhaps at the root of your program. So I want us now to talk about Git and GitHub. Guys, let me know if it's clear up to that before I go there. I want to talk about Git and GitHub. Is everything clear now? Any question? Wonderful, great. All right. So now I want us to talk about Git and GitHub. First of all, Git is a version control tool. I think someone asked a question previously. What is the difference between, I think, Git, GitHub, and I don't know what else. But then Git is just a version control tool, like to track changes on your code. And then now GitHub is like the repository, or maybe where you're trying to, like an online cloud repository, or maybe like a story. Like for example, at the moment we are placing this code on our computer, but then now GitHub is like a cloud storage for your project, or maybe for your code. It's like an online, or maybe a cloud storage for your code, and I will be still tracking the changes on that cloud, the code that are in that cloud on GitHub with Git. So Git is like a version control tool where you're going to try the commands, and then on GitHub, you're just trying to like store your code, but then still you'll be tracking changes on that. You can track changes on GitHub still using the Git commands. So, and also there's some other actions on GitHub that you can do, like for example, creating issues and many others. But then I want to talk about it now so that you'll understand the use case. So I believe, guys, you installed the Git, I think it was in our first session. So to get Git, we just go to Git download, Git download, and then it's here. You can download for your operating system, for Mac OS, Windows, or whatever it is. So I think it's going to prompt you like at the default version, or maybe it's going to prompt you like one that is compatible. I think it will detect the OS that you're using, then it's going to prompt you to install. But then you can just go to Windows or a Mac OS or a Linux, and then they are going to give you those setup files to install. Now, for me, I already have it, and also we had shown you how you can install. If you want to know more about that, you can reference the first recording. I think it was first recording. Okay, the second lecture, I believe. So it's going to come with okay, let me just try to install so that I'll explain well the installation, although I have it already. Then let me just try to reinstall it again, because there's something that I'll want to show you how you need to configure so that it can work well. Now, as it tries to install, you also need a GitHub account. Guys, let me know if you have any social media account, maybe on Twitter, Facebook, what else, TikTok. Do you have anyone with any account? Have you tried to create an account, social media account? Let me know. Yes, I see most people have accounts. Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. I see a lot of confirmation. So like to create a GitHub account is somehow similar to how you usually create your other social media accounts. Like for example, Twitter, and there's that part of the sign in. For me, I already have an account. Let me see if I can be able to, I don't know, I think I don't have many emails, but then to create an account, you just go to github.com. Let me share the link with you at the github.com. github.com. So this demo account, I've utilized all the demo accounts. So I think, okay, let me see. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. So let me first of all sign up so that I can. So to sign to sign out. Okay. Yeah. So this is the link to get to like enroll to GitHub. I'm sharing the chat. That's the GitHub account. And then to create, like it's going to take you to this landing, this page. And then what you do, you just click on the sign up for GitHub. Sign up for GitHub. Then here you need to add in the email, the password. You need to add in the username. Now for the username, make sure that you're using a unique username. Like for example, if it tells you like this username is available or something like that, you can try to change. You can just try to change the username to make sure that it fits what they require. Then you just click continue path. They will send you like a code on your email just to verify it, and then I believe you'll be able to get an account. But if you still encounter issues, you can just reach out. But then when you create an account, you will have let me see if I can be able to. Now, when you create an account, then you'll be able to. I think I have a demo account here that doesn't have anything. Yeah, so you'll have something like this. You'll have a very like a similar interface like this. If you don't have anything, then it's going to look somehow similar to this. So this there, like when you just log in, it's going to have something, an interface like this. So for me, I already have my account, GitHub, GitHub, and then there's my account, and I'm going to use it to show you, or maybe to work with like to for Git and GitHub. We are coming to it later. I was doing this as a wait for it to download, and then now to install, you just double click, and then it's going to install. Like it's going to open the installation wizard, and then you just click next. And then what you want to do here is to make sure that it is included in the the path. Let me see if it's here. It should be included in the path. But then also you can also check this Git large file support. This so that for example, if you have like videos or whatever you want to include, it will just work. So you can try to include those things so that after you've installed, you'll not struggle to figure out. But then there was something that I wanted to show you to add it to the environment. But I think it will by default add it to the environment variable so that you can access it anywhere. If it is in the system environment variable, you can access it everywhere. So you can choose to add in also on the desktop. Is checked if you want to get auto updates. But then guys, I don't recommend this one because I noticed that whenever they usually release these new features, perhaps it could have issues. For me, like personally for me, I always like working with the stable version of things, not the latest. Perhaps it could be having issues, or maybe it has some bug that it needs to be fixed. So that's why for me, I don't like working with them. Updates. So you could do what you could uncheck this one so that it doesn't update. But I believe the GitHub team, the Git team, they usually verify it before they release. But you could choose to uncheck. But then let me go with it. And then next. Now, at the first part, ensure that you're using this one. Because I don't want like for me personally, I usually like giving my main branches to be main, like at the name main. But then on this one, you'll want like for example, like a default, like when you just initialize a Git repository, the default branch will be master, not main, because at the main, you want it to be like at the main branch on the GitHub when you want to push the code on GitHub. So you want to use the master. So select this first option. That's for me. Otherwise, you could choose to give like a name, for example, main or whatever name, to always be your default branch name when you initialize an empty Git repository. Then click next, and then I think the rest is just a next, until you reach the very end. Then it's going to install all the required stuff, and then you will be good to go. And then I told you that it will be coming with the Git bash. It will be coming with the Git bash, and that's the command line tool that I will be using, because it applies on different. Because you saw Git. It's available both on Mac operating system, Windows, Linux. So when you install it, it's going to like the Git bash is going to work similar on this other operating system. So now this is the advantage. I want to remove this thing here. I don't know how I can do it. There's this thing for Zoom. I don't know how I can sign in. Okay. So yeah, so you are going to install. Okay, you are going to like once you click on it, you can launch the bash just to check if you have Git in your system, and to check if you have Git, what you do, just type here Git dash version, Git, then dash version, then you click enter. It's going to show you the version of Git that you have. Guys, let me know if the installation is clear. You've understood all the steps, or you have a question. Let me know. All right, great, great. So yeah, so guys, I want us now to talk about the Git. I don't know how I can remove this thing. It's hiding the tabs. Trying to remove. Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can hide it there. Yeah. So yeah. So I want us to now talk about Git commands. I want us to talk about now the Git commands. And first of all, in this case, like for working with the Git and GitHub, for me, I always find it easier to use it on the Visual Studio Code. Like this is just my personal preference to use it on VS Code. Perhaps you could use it directly. But then let me use on the VS Code. We show you how you can install VS Code. And also, guys, there's something on VS Code that I will want to use to include, so that it will like provide a very, very good, information, or maybe some tools. Sometimes we want to just track or maybe see the status of your Git before you do the commit or whatever it is, before you just write the command. Like Git, it has like on the VS Code, we have the extension called the Git lens, among many others. Git lens. So Git lens is just an extension that when you have it, it's going to do it. It's going to like display. For example, if you have updated the code, it's going to show you. For example, if the code is not tracked, it's going to show you. So you can just install this one, but then I'll talk about it later. So Git lens, if I can add it in the comment. Okay. Git lens. Let me paste here. Not GitHub, should be Git lens. Let me see. Git lens here. And I install it as an extension on the VS Code, not as an independent program. Make sure that I'm installing it as an extension. And then so once you have it, then I believe like that's my preferred extension for that. But then in this case, we are going to like learn everything from the very scratch. So what you'll want to do assuming that this is the project that we are having, like this is just a normal project, we've written some code, and there are these packages we've created, the setup tools. Now, what we'll want to do, you'll need to CD to that directory. But then on VS Code, when you open a folder, then you open the terminal, like it's going to automatically navigate you to that directory without doing the change the directory commands. So by default, these are directory. Remember to get to the terminal, you click here on the this ellipse here at the top. You click on it, then it's going to open the terminal. Then you click on the terminal, and then it's going to open with your default command line tool. In this case, mine is PowerShell, but then I want us to use Git bash. So you click on this drop down, then you install Git bash. Remember, this Git bash is going to like cut across, or maybe the command that we write there will work similar to many or maybe different operating system. So, okay, guys, the first thing that I always want to do when you have like a project, like at the moment, this you can just call it like a directory or maybe a folder. But then to make it a repository, a Git repository, what you do, you need to type here git init. Git, first of all, let me see if this command is going to help. So when you type, for example, if you've installed Git in your system, now when you type git help, it's going to list you like some quick command that you can learn. For example, if you've forgotten something, you can always click on or type git --help, and then you can see some short commands here that you'll be using, like a clone. This one is to clone an existing repository on GitHub. Like, for example, if you have a repository on GitHub, you want to clone it on your computer, you'll be using the clone. And then init, this one is to initialize an empty Git repository, or sometimes to reinitialize. For example, if it's already initialized, you can reinitialize. And then there are these other commands, for example, to add, to rename files, restore files, remove, and all these. So we are going to explain this code, so don't worry about it. But then the first thing that you'll want to do once you have a folder, or maybe the code. Okay, so let me just say clear. Clear is a command just to clear. It's not deleting, but then just clearing your workspace so that you can have a very clean workspace. Now, guys, the first thing that you'll want to do when you have like your folder with your code, it doesn't have anything, you want to track the changes in your code. So the first thing, you just open your folder with your project, and then you navigate there, and then within this terminal, you can just type here git init. So this git init is to initialize an empty Git repository. Remember, at the moment, it's just like a normal, just a normal folder. So to make it a repository, a Git repository, you need to use the git init. Git init, when you click enter, then it's going to initialize an empty Git repository. And then you can see it is using master, because we didn't change on the Git installation. We didn't modify, we wanted it to use a master, because I don't want a scenario where like your default branch is main, and then sometimes you'll want like to have your main branch to be main. Like I don't, for me, or maybe generally, you don't want to use like your main branch when you're working on a project, because if you modify, you might find it difficult, for example, to although you can retrieve changes, but then you don't always want to have like your main code as your your main branch as your development environment. You run like your main branch to be like a one for production. Also remember, guys, because we are data or maybe we are machine learning engineers, and for those who will be taking, you'll learn more about that. So you'll not want, for example, to have the data or maybe the CSV files or maybe database, and then you're working on the original database. You always want to make sure that you are using a copy. So don't always use the original. Make sure that you're using the copy so that when you make issues, when you have issues, it doesn't affect your original. That's why for me, I always like working with this master is my default, and then my main branch, I'll just call it main or something else. But then I'll not use it, my main as my main branch. So to initialize an empty Git repository, you do git init. Now, when you type again this git init, it means that you are trying to reinitialize. So when I click enter, it's now reinitializing. Initially, it was initializing, but then now when you run it again, it will be reinitializing. So that's the first command that I'll want to do before you work with Git. Is it clear, guys, up to that? I want us to go step by step together. All right, so yeah, so I see we are still together, and that's great. So, and then now the other thing that guys you'll want to do is to also to personalize your project, like to
the entrance of that road. The entrance of ECD, but don't get it.
All right, so the other thing that you might want to can someone try to unmute, please? All right. So the other thing that you will want to do is to also personalize your Git, like a Git in your system, so that you can have things like the username and also the email for your GitHub account, just for identifying your commits. So like those information are very, very useful for identifying your commit. So make sure that you're using what you have like some configuration. And first of all, to configure, for example, your username, you're going to use the Git. Remember, you begin with the Git, but there someone will be typing some short notes on your notebook, or somewhere, so that you'll want to use these commands. For me, guys, I don't script like a content. So sometimes you might think that I'll share the documentation, but I don't have. So make sure that you have something on your end that you are writing like some short notes, so that it will help you later. Although we'll provide the recording, but then there's no script for this. So if you want to learn more, just write it on your notebook. But the recording will be shared. So git config, and then dash. You can use G or global. So you want to configure it at the global level. And then you'll use user dot name. Okay, user dot name. This for username. User dot name. And then, for example, if it's multi-word, then I make sure that you're using in quotes, like you are wrapping. For example, let's say Nehemiah space Wekesa. So make sure that you're using it in quotes. But then if it's just one name, you don't need to do that. You can just type, for example, your name, username, the username. If you want to confirm that you have the username, you will still use the same command, but you're not adding the name. Just write like that. Then it's going to show you if you have the username or not. Now for email, similar to the username, only that you will be adding the email. For example, you can add in the email here. So, this information are very useful in the event, for example, you just want to identify your commits. We'll talk about the commits in a few. Commits, these are like saves. Like, for example, you're writing the code you want to save. On VS Code, we have enabled auto-save features, but then that's on the code level, on the file level. But then on Git, we'll be using commands called commit, where you need to specify a name for that commit. And then when you save, it's going to generate a hash also, so that you can track the commit with that hash. And for example, if you want to check out to that, or maybe to switch to that commit, you'll be able to do it. So this information are very useful. So we have now the username and the email. And then, so now when you when you click here, user and then a name, you'll notice that, okay, user and then, okay, sorry guys. I forgot, should be email. First of all, let me change. I forgot to change. I should have said email. In fact, okay, this username. And then now for email, you make sure that here it is email. Sorry guys, sometimes when I talk and type, I told you that I might get confused. At Gmail, mail.com. And then, yeah, so that's my email. So now to check, and then I just have to, okay, first of all, let me clear. Clear is just to clear the workspace. Then if you want to check, you can just use the same command, only that will not be adding the name. Then it's going to show you it's going to show you if the email is configured or not. Sorry, yeah, if the email is configured or not. So we have the email and the username in the system. So those are just useful in the event like I want to track commit, or maybe want to see the commits to know who was trying to update what and all that. Yeah, so we have configured at the system level. Guys, I confirm if that's clear. I go to the next command. Okay, great. What happens during the reinitialization of a Git repository? Actually, a reinitialization, perhaps you forgot. Sometimes you might run Git in it, then you forgot, then you rerun it again. So, so basically, like it will be like trying to just have the same, like similar to the original. For example, if you had forgotten, like instead of getting the error, so when you run it again, it's going to reinitialize. It's going to reinitialize the repository, but they are similar thing, only that when you reinitialize, instead of giving you the error, just trying to like reinitialize the same thing. The empty, like for example, let me try again. Git, okay, Git init. But there, guys, I remember once you've done the configuration, you don't need to do it again. Like the set up the username and the email, like I don't need to do it all over again. Once you do it, just one. So you can see now reinitialize because it's already initialized. So when you reinitialize, like there's no difference, only that you will be repeating yourself, but it's still referring to the same thing. So there's no harm there when you reinitialize. I don't know if I've answered you. And then again, now to confirm that you have those configuration, I told you that you can use if it's name, you could say, for example, git config -- global user, then .name is going to show you the name. For example, if it's email, you just change to email. Otherwise, if you want to check all the configuration, you can use the git config. I hope someone is writing somewhere on the notebook. Git config, then a list. This just to show if you are configured or not, like you have configured your information or not. Like you can see things like the username, the email, it is included. So this means that everything is okay. Yeah, so this is fine. Now, the other thing, guys, that I want to talk about now is there. Okay, guys, let me use a different. Let me see if I can exit. Let me use just a different notebook. Still, it is the same folder, so it is tracking this master with the main branch. How do you commit if you want to push the report to an organization page in GitHub? Yeah, we're getting there, guys, just slowly. We have also beginners here. So let's just go step by step, but we'll reach there. So, guys, you've told me that you've understood up to that. So what we've been doing is just to configure Git in our system, to configure the username, the email, and then also we have done what we have initialized this Git repository. Now, the reason I told you to have the Git length, you can see here at the top, it's showing you if the file is untracked. Like we have initialized Git, but then the files are not tracked. The files are not tracked, so it is showing this U. When you hover at the end of the tooltip, you can see it is untracked. I don't know, guys, if you're able to see. When I hover at the end of that tooltip, you can see the name is untracked. Are you able to see that? Yeah, okay, great. So like that's just the advantage of working with that extension. That's just the advantage of working with that extension. Like it will give you like a real-time status of your code. So we have done what we have initialized Git in this repository, but no file is being tracked here, including this folder. Everything is just you, which means that they are untracked. So to track these files, we use the git add, and then for example, if it's a file, for example, you want to track this testing notebook, so just type that file name, testing testing.ipynb. Then you'll notice that the status here has changed. When I hover, what does it read at the end? On the tooltip, when I hover, yes, it's now displaying A. On the tooltip, it's saying added index. Yeah, added index. So it means that it is being tracked now. So this file is being tracked, but then we have done what we have only tracked one file. The rest are you. Now, if you wanted to track every file, but this one is very, very, because sometimes assuming that there's a project, let's assume that it's an application that you have very, very confidential information. You don't want to expose, because when you, especially if you are creating, you want to push the code, or maybe to add it to the GitHub, the code with the MIT license, like a free. You want to make it open so that people can utilize your code. You'll not want to like expose your credential, like a password, email, and all the information. So you might want to have, for example, let's assume that you have a file and in Python, by it provides an environment variable where you can list like all your credentials. For example, you just specify .env. By the way, you need to install python.env, assuming that is for creating like your confidential information. Perhaps you can call it secret underscore key. And then, okay, key. Then you can do it, you can add it, the credentials here. Credentials, there, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Assuming these are the information. And then I will have the email as well. For example, email. Remember, on the secret key, you even don't need to have these ports. But let's assume that these are the information you have. For example, such sensitive information. Okay, by the way, let me show you how you can get more information about this env. So for .env, it is python.env. If you want to use that package, it is just python .env, python.env, like that. And then there's this package you can download with the PIP, and the use case it's here. You just import it this way, and then you can add in whatever information you use, and then this is how you can add it, and then when you want to use it, then you'll just be using, you just be saying like, so you'll just be using like in the form of like the environment. I think there's some documentation that is easier to understand. Let me see. Let me see these guys if they have like a good documentation. I can. So this is how you install, and then this is how you create the .env, and then you add in this information, and then now the use case where it is being used here. This is now how it is used. So where you want to use that file, assume that this is now your main program. Okay, let me copy this. First of all, remember you're going to install. But I think let me provide this documentation, this URL, so that I think they have provided like a very good documentation here. So assuming that some case you have such things, so you just get your environment variable, and then where you want to use it. For example, assuming that this is your main program. Let's call it main.py. So here, you just need to import this one once you have installed. Then what you'll need to do is to just, use these variables. For example, if it's secret key, you just do it, you just type there, secret key. Okay, the one that we have just created here in the .env. So we have added what the .env in a separate file, but then we're using it as a module in our main program. So you can notice here we are not exposing we are not exposing our credentials. So you not want to push your code with this .env file. So, or maybe some other information, perhaps you have the videos or images or a PSD file or maybe files which are very heavy. So you want to ignore those files or folders such that when you push the code, you not get the error that maximum size is exceeded. So what you want to do is to create here the root or wherever, okay, the root, create a file called .env. Okay, sorry, not .env, .git ignore. Git ignore. Ignore. So git ignore, you can list whatever files you want to ignore. So in this case, remember it's at the root. So you're going to just say .env. So when you add in this .env, and then you do what? You do git add, git add, then you add in the period. Remember period, all the time you use period, it means that the current directory. Anytime you use the period at the very end, is you are referring to the current directory. So in this case, we mean that I want to add everything in the current directory in this folder one development, I think one dev packages. So it's going to add everything, all the files, excluding the files which are in the .env. You can notice even that you don't have the A or a U or whatever it is in this .env. But then when you click this, because we're using that git lens. But then now when you run, click, you can see all the files, they have A or whatever it is, but then this .env doesn't have anything. Remember, Git is going to track the git ignore file itself. A Git is going to track the git ignore file, but then it's not going to track now the files which are included in the git ignore. So in the git ignore, we have done what? Okay, this is the file that we're ignoring, but then the Git is going to track the git ignore file, but it will not track the files listed in the git ignore. So to check now the status, at the moment we are using the git lens, but then assuming you are using a different editor, you might want to confirm the status of your code. You just do git status. Git status is a command to check the status of your code. So you can see that these are the files which are being tracked. These are the files which are being tracked. So it is A, which means that it's added. Now, when I create here a new file, perhaps let me call it main.jsx or TypeScript or whatever it is. Now, when I do again the git status, when I do the git status, in fact, before I even do the git status, because I'm using the git lens, you can notice that it is U. So now when I type here again git status, it's going to tell me that main.jsx is not being tracked. So this untracked file, and then these are the files which are being tracked or they are added, but then they are not committed, they are being tracked. These are the files which are being tracked, but then this one is not tracked. So anytime you want to track, you do the git add. For example, if it's one file, you need to just specify the file, but then if you want to track everything, you just do the git add. I think this one is easier. You just list the files that you want to exclude in the track, like are being tracked in the git ignore, so that anytime you don't need to type the long names for the files and all that. So you just say git add, then at the period for the current directory, then it's going to track everything there. So this is this to track the file. This to track the files, you use the git add. For a file, you specify git add and then a file name. For example, if it's all the files in that directory, you just specify git add, then the directory. If it's in a different directory, you just specify that directory, and then it's going to track everything within that file. So once again, Git needs to initialize the empty Git repository, and then Git status to check the status of your code, and then Git add this to track the files. This to track the files. Once you've tracked the files, you need to save the changes or maybe the state of your code. You need to save it. So, for example, to save the code, you use the command git commit. Git commit like to save. Git commit then -m. Then here you can type in your message. Remember, you need to use the descriptive message. For example, you can say, for example, first commit or something descriptive. For example, you can say, this is the first commit of my whatever project, or maybe anything that is quite descriptive. So you write it in this way, like a git commit -m, then the commit message, if it's multi-word. But then if it's just a single word, remember you don't even need to write the quote. But then if it's multi-word, make sure that you are using the quote like that. And then when you click enter, you'll notice that nothing is showing here. And then when you do the git status, status, you'll notice that it's going to say that nothing to commit on tree clean. Okay, like nothing to commit, like everything is committed, like it's like saved. Commits like to save. So this one, these files are saved. So to commit once again, you use what git command called git commit, and then dash, then your commit message. That's to commit. This is the command here, git commit -m, then your commit message. And these are very useful, guys. These are messages because I sometimes assuming that I've made a lot of commits. Okay, let me try to update the code. Let me assume that in this main, I've done what I've added like these duplicate keys. So this file is going to be, so you can see it is modified. Okay, when I do the git status, okay, status, you'll notice that the status now it's saying that this main.py it is modified. So now you can see now the importance of working with the git. You can notice that it's going to like track your files in real time. So it's modified. So because it's modified, we need to add to track it because we've modified it. So anytime you modify a file, you need to track. So you need to begin again with the git add, then the commit, git commit. Perhaps I'll call it second commit. But then I don't use second, first, and all that. You want to use something descriptive so that people will know. For example, let's assume that there were bugs in your system or whatever code you are writing. And then, for example, you are fixing, make sure that you're trying to write something descriptive that have implemented, for example, the footer, the header, or maybe the authentication forms, or maybe you have done what you have created a particular model and all those kind of things, so that it will be descriptive. But then in this case, let me just use second commit, and then when I do git commit, okay, like I've committed. So now when I do the git status, you'll notice that everything is being tracked. Git status, nothing to commit. Now I've made how many commits? 2 commits. So if I want to see the commits, you do git log. Git log is going to list for you the commits you've made. Git log is going to list for you the commits. So you can see I can be able to see this was the first commit, this is the second commit. So now you can see the significance of writing like descriptive names. You'll be able to know, to track, or maybe know the code that we're using. And then also it provides what? Very, very, like it's providing a hash. So with this hash, you can be able to switch to previous commits. So this commit, let me just copy this code. Let me copy this code. Now, if I want to switch to this commit, the previous commit that I had that it had not, it didn't have this the second line. When I do git checkout, okay, basically the command is git checkout, then you type in what you're adding, like this hash. These are this string here, this commit string or a hash. When you do like this, when you click enter, you'll notice that now I don't have what? I don't have the second line. Like this, what do we call it? Like that second code, because I've switched to the first commit, which it didn't have what? The code. And anytime you do that, make sure that you track the files and save. Just to confirm, you just do the git add all the time. Then you do the commit again, git commit. Okay, not like already, it's already saved. Remember, we've switched to that branch, so this one will not even, okay, let me just say, for example, main, okay, original. Because you notice that I don't see, you don't see the, you notice that I don't see, you don't see this status here, because it's already like we've just switched to that branch. Now, if I want to switch back, you can just use the git checkout, and then a branch name, main. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, it is, the branch is not main, it's master, right? Let me see. Yeah, so I've switched to master. Basically, for me, main, I like working with it, or if I'm using, like I'm deploying, so I'm using a master. Guys, let me know, guys, if it's clear up to that. Did git add work for both new and edited files? Yeah, git add, it works with, like, for example, the edited files or are modified, you need to as well do the git add so that git will track that file. So anytime you modify the file, make sure that you again do the git add to track that file. Great. So this is about the git, what do we call it? Git, okay, git checkout. This is just to switch branches or commits. But then we've been talking about the commits. Now I want us to talk about the branches. Because I told you earlier that you don't want to like write your programs on the main because you want like your main branch to be for production. Perhaps you'll just have your main branch. For example, if it's an organization, you have the main branch, but then you will assign, for example, a particular team or maybe a team of developers to work on the front end, another to work on the back end, another team to work on the models, machine learning models, and so forth. So you want like them to work on those branches, depending on the issues that you've assigned to them. And then once they have done, then I will match those changes to your main branch. So that's why we don't want to like always have the like at work on the, what do we call it, like the main branches. We don't want to do that always. So you create branches. To create a branch, you just use git command called git branch. Git branch, then the branch name. Okay, git branch, then a branch name. For example, I could call it test. Git branch, then a branch name, and then it's going to be called test. Test. Now, okay, so we've created like another new branch. Remember, it's going to like it's going to fork, or not forking actually, but then it's going to like have the same code that we're using here, but then on another branch. So when I switch to that branch, I'll still have this code. So let me switch to the branch that we just created, which is test. So okay, first of all, to switch, you like to check the branches. To check the branches, you just type here git branch. git branch, and then you will see the branches you have. We have master and this test, and then the star, this one is to highlight, or maybe to highlight the active branch. But for what? For git bash, it already displays here the active branch. But then we have also the test. So I want us to switch to test. So to switch to test, you use git checkout. So remember the checkout command, you can switch both branches and also the commits. So git checkout, and then what do we call it? Git checkout, and then okay, test. The branch is test. So now you notice that the status here has changed to test. Now when I again do the git branch, you'll notice that the star is now at this asterisk. The star is now at the asterisk. So now we are working on the this test. So let's try to modify this test branch. And anytime you do it, you need to commit. So git add. Remember, anytime you modify, you have to do the git add first, then git commit dash your message or whatever, blah 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 blah. Then so now I've done what I've committed the changes which are in the test branch. So now I've modified in the test branch and not in the master branch. So now when I do the git, when I do the git checkout, and then master, guys, I want you to notice or maybe focus here when I switch to branch. When I switch to master, when I will switch to master, you will notice that you'll not see this second line because I will have modified in this master branch. So the main, it doesn't have like those changes. So when I switch there, you notice that I don't have that line. But then when I switch back to test, you notice that I have that file, that line of code. Like I did just a simple way to demonstrate like how branches are very, very useful. So you have the same kind of code, but then now when you're working on a branch, it's not going to affect what your main branch. So assuming in our case, this master is like our main branch. Now, for example, if you've worked on a branch and you feel like it's fine, you want to merge them. First of all, you need to navigate or maybe switch first of all to your master branch. Okay, your main branch where you want to merge it. So you are going to do the git checkout master here. Now, if you want to merge the changes that you have written in the master branch, you will need to do what you will need to. Okay, the command is just simple. You first of all need to be sure that you are first of all at that master branch, the master branch, and then I say git merge, and then I specify what we are trying to merge there. So the branch is git merge. Okay, just a second. Sorry guys about that. So to merge, I say that first of all, you need to be at the branch where you want to merge changes from another branch. So in this case, we are where at the active branch where we are is master. So we want to merge the test. So now you can notice now the main program it now has the code that were written in the master. But then, guys, whenever you're working, that's why for production, make sure that you're working on issues. Like, for example, let's say you are a senior software engineer in a particular organization, and then you have a team of developers that are working on the front end, back end, or maybe some features on the back end, or maybe if it's models, some are creating the APIs and all that. Make sure that you are creating issues such that people will not work on the same file, because when they work on the same file, when you want to merge and then at the same line of code is modified, you'll have the conflicts. Now, assuming that I have this line on the main, and then perhaps here assuming that it is secret. Let me just say secret. I've modified it to secret. And then I'll have to do what I'll have to always do the git add. Anytime you modify, you said you do what? You do the git add, and then git checkout. Git, okay, not sorry guys, git commit, and then dash them, then your message or whatever, blah blah. Remember, it should be descriptive. But then for me, let me just use it this way. So I've done what I've modified this one. This is master, and then let me switch to test. Git, okay, git checkout, git checkout, and then git checkout, and what are we checking out to? Test. So let me also add in the same line here. So the other one we had modified to secret, but then this one is secret key. So let me again save, and then also commit. Now let me clear first, and then let me switch back to, let me git checkout to main. But then I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard so that you can retrieve previous written commands. The up arrow key is going to retrieve the previous written commands, and then like at the oldest, and then down arrow key retrieves what? The latest. So let me switch back to master. Master, and then now when you do the git merge, git merge, and then we are merging, for example, test, you'll see that I'm going to get here a conflict because at the same line number 7 is going to be like it is modified. So when I do like this, you notice that I'm trying to get this error. That's why, guys, when you'll be working on a larger scale, when you are collaborating with other people, make sure that you are creating issues so that you don't work on the same file, because when you be trying to merge the code, you'll have issues. So you don't want to have such scenario. So in this case, like it's going to struggle to know, like Git is trying to struggle to know what line do you want to keep and what do you want to remove. So we don't want to like make Git struggle to struggle. So in that case, what you do is just delete manually. You have to do it manually. Remove, for example, this is the one that you are removing. Then let me remove this one. So we've done what we've removed that file. And anytime you do that, make sure that you commit. Once you've done that, otherwise you'll see there's this master margin. It is not, you need to commit once you've done the changes. So to commit, first of all, you always want to do the git add. Although it's already tracked like that, git add, and then I do the git commit, and then and then for example merged or whatever message you want to use git merged or something like that. So now you can see now the margin has disappeared. So guys, this is very key skill you need to know, because you'll be working with other people, and then you notice that you've just written a very good code. Then there's another person that push their code and it overwrites everything that you had written in your code. So make sure that you will be creating issues. I'm going to demonstrate that one, or I'll show you when we reach to Git and GitHub. So guys, that's how you can do it. That's how you can create branch, merge branch, switch branch, and all that. So guys, there are several commands, but then I see time is fast moving. So, but then these are the very useful commands. Now I want us to talk about GitHub. I want to talk about GitHub, like how you can link this project with GitHub. Now, first of all, guys, I want to remove, because I want to push this. This is what? These are a module. These are a package. So let me remove what? Let me remove, okay, let it be included, but then I want to push this one on GitHub. First of all, you need to have what? The GitHub account. We talked about that one earlier. And then whatever way it is, for example, if it's just, let me see. I don't know your landing page, how your landing page will look like. Sometimes similar to this, or maybe the interface could be, okay, let me see. Perhaps on your end, it will be, I think this should be your interface when you just open like the landing once you've logged into GitHub. Now you'll find somewhere it's called repository. You'll see somewhere written repository or plus. Could be plus like this, or maybe it's written repository. Just click anywhere. Click this plus, and then I click here new repository. Then you'll want to give what your project a repository. Perhaps we can call it. We can call our repository what? We could call it. Yeah. What name can we give, guys? Let me know. What name should we give this repository? Okay, let me just call it a test and a test package. A test package, so it's going to like create it in comma, okay, in hyphen, like this. Like when you create this package, it will include like the commas. Otherwise, like this, not comma, actually hyphen, like that. So this is the repository name in this owners directory. Remember, for those who are talking about the organizations, I'm going to come to that in a few. But then, for example, if it's an organization, first of all, let me show you this one, and then I will come to that. Now, this is how you create, and then you are going to select the organization or maybe the owner. But then in this case, let me just have this one. And then I want to make it public so that you too can as well access if you want to access that code. And then click here, create repository. Click create repository, and then it's going to give me the link for that repository. So this is the link. This is the link. So we've created the repository, and then I have like it has generated like the link. So you want to use this link that has the extension .git. Don't use this one at the top. Use this one that has the .git at the very end. Now, at the moment we've been working with the Git on our local computer, but then I want to work it on the cloud. So first of all, you want to like configure the cloud GitHub to be in your computer. So what you want to do, like there's a way that for me I usually want to do is to click on this account at the very bottom, then go sign in. Let me try to sign out first. Let me sign out. And then once I've signed out, I think on your end, when you click on this user icon, you'll see this sign in to sync setting. And then it's going to redirect me to GitHub. Then I'll need to continue to authorize it. And then I'll have done what I'll have configured like a VS Code to work with GitHub. Now, that's not enough. When you want to push this code on GitHub, like it's going to prompt you to authorize VS Code, to authorize VS Code to use what? Okay, like the GitHub, you'll need to like authorize VS Code to work with GitHub. Like, and I'm going to show you that. I don't know if it's going to prompt me, but then now once I've done that, then I will need to do what I will need to. I will need to add in to track these files. Remember now when you do the git add, that's at the local or maybe development environment level or maybe at your computer level. But then how to track for the cloud or a GitHub, you'll need to do git remote. Now it's not just add git remote, you begin with the remote, git remote add, and then you specify origin. Origin, and then I specify the link. Remember the link should be the one that ends with git. Here. .git. Don't use this one at the top. Use this one that ends with .git. And then what you'll do, you'll need to just you'll just need to just type like that: git remote add origin. Then you specify the link there. Now, if you just want to make sure that it is being tracked, you can do git remote view. Okay, that should be. Then you will see. Okay, sorry, not remove actually, not remove git remote. Okay, remote. I want to be sure that I'm not sure if I remember git remote git remote git remote origin. Okay, let me just confirm first, guys, and then not this one. Like this, it's not the command, but there's a command that you can use to. Okay, git. Let me try again, guys. If it doesn't work, we'll show you next time in future. For those who will be taking the program, git remote or git remote. Don't know. Don't remember the command. Git remote origin. I think I've forgotten that. No, guys, I think I've forgotten. But if you want to, okay, let's do the git help. We see. Like if you just want to see if you have. Let me see. It's not included in this documentation, but there's a command that you can use to. Anyone who knows, perhaps there's someone who knows how to check the listed commands, kindly update the recordings on the, okay. I think they will be able to push. So there's a command that you can use to check the listed or maybe the active remote. But then again, what you'll need to do just add the remote origin. So to add in like at the local level, you use the git add, but then for the cloud, you need to use the git remote add, then origin, then you specify the the link to your repository. Then when you do that, it's going to add. Like if you already have it, it's going to tell you this error that already exists. Now, once you do that, remember already at the local environment, or maybe at the computer, we have already tracked the files. Otherwise, if you have not tracked, make sure that you're doing the git add, then a dot. Now, the other thing is that you say that you need to create a main branch. I don't always want to work with the master or maybe other branch. Like for my main branch, I want to use the main. So to create like a main branch, you can just say git branch, then I can use capital M. Then I'm going to use main. So this command is going to create the main branch and then a switch at it, switch to that branch. So git branch dash M, capital M, remember, and then a main. So you can notice that it has created the branch and at the same time it has switched to the main branch. Now, the other thing that I want to do is already we have done the commits. We did the commit, that's why you can see there's nothing that it's showing. Otherwise, make sure that always you do the commit. So once we are at this part or maybe this section, you need now to push now this code to GitHub. How do you push it? You do git push, and then you specify the. Okay, guys, for me, there's this shortcut that I usually like. Remember at the moment when I just say git push, I'm not going to get, like I'm getting this error. But then you can set it upstream such that in the future you don't want to specify the branch, just say git push, and then it will remember the upstream, the branch. So to set the upstream, just use git push, and then you can type dash upstream or u, then origin, you specify main. Main, and then it's going to push there. Actually, for me, it will work, but then for you, it might prompt you a small window to authorize like VS Code on your GitHub account. So if you see such a small prompt, make sure that you click continue or something like that, or maybe authorize, so that you can push without errors. Otherwise, you might get these errors. Now, when I go to my code, my GitHub and I refresh, you'll notice that I have those codes, and then I can track the changes similar to how I've been doing. Like for example, when I say, okay, let me see. When I modify my code, modify the code, again, you'll have to do that. So once you've linked Git and GitHub, so in future, you don't need to add in again the remote because it's already at this remote repository, like it's already in the Git because we had initialized. So now when I say git add, remember the branch that I'm at is main, git add, then let me add in all, and then commit git commit dash m, then my main branch or whatever name you want to give for your commit, And then now, because guys, I had set the upstream with git git push dash u. That dash u is to set the upstream. Then you specify origin main. Okay, let me try to see if I can retrieve that command. So this is the command git push dash u to set the upstream, then origin, then the branch. So now I don't need to do that again. So I'll just say git push. Okay, so remember the name that I've given for this commit is my main branch. So I can just say git push git push. Then I'll be able to push without getting the error. So you notice that now I'll not get the error because I had set the upstream earlier in this repository. So next time I don't need to you notice earlier I was getting the error, but then now I don't get. So this is in the event you are using like your direct branch. Now, if you're using an organization, let's try to create an organization somewhere, your organizations, and then let me try to create here an organization. I don't know if it will allow me. New organization. And then let me just try to quickly create an organization here. Why? I don't know, guys, if time is gone. Wow, guys, I see time has already gone. Will you give me some 10 minutes, Aisha? Or
Yes, please. You can take your time. Yeah.
all right, thank you. So let me try to create an organization here. And let me just create here, let me just say test organization or something like that. But remember, you need to use the name that is not available there. For example, test, okay, let me just say test one dev or whatever name you wish to give it an email. If it's an organization, make sure that you give it, or maybe it's just a personal account, but then let's use a business and then give it one dev test. Now, actually, I'll delete this one. It's just for demo. One dev test, then I verify here with this thing, and then confirm here these things. Though I haven't read, I have never read these things. I don't know what is entailed there. But then I believe it's safe. You can read for me the update what is included in the agreement. Yeah, so so it has created this organization, but then I don't understand why it's not redirecting me. But then when I go again to my organizations, and then I check, I'll see that I have one dev test something. Let me see, here it is. So when I click on it, it's going to take me to this organization. Then let me try to create a repository on one dev. And then perhaps I could call it perhaps test, and that could be private or public. But guys, remember, if it's a client project, unless you get the permission, don't make your client project an open source project. If you are implementing, or maybe you have created the CI/CD pipelines, make sure that on GitHub, make sure that it's private. Otherwise, don't unless you get the permission. But you don't want to expose like a client's project, like on an open source or maybe public. Make sure that it is private, especially if you want to create the pipelines, the continuous integration, continuous development pipeline. So make sure that it is private. Then click create repository, and to add this repository. To add this repository, first of all, you need to add in this one. Otherwise, you get an error, like you'll need to remove the existing one. So now when you say git, but remember, you can try to create a new repository. Okay, but then let me try to use a new repository so that you will not have an issue. Others, you can do it. Okay, let me, before there, let's try git remote add origin. And then here I'm going to get an error that there's there's a repository already existing. So if you want to remove the current repository, what you'll do is just type to git remote remove. I don't know if it's remove remote. Okay, let me see. Git remove remove. Okay, git remove. Guys, I think I wrote these commands. Git remove origin. Let me see if this one is going to work. Git remote. Git remote. Remove origin. I'm not sure, guys. Oh yeah, it has worked. It has worked finally. So the command is git remote remove. You can write it somewhere. But then guys, I noticed that in tech, you need to write always. Like even me, your instructor, I always need to write the code to be relevant because these things, if you don't like code or maybe write, you'll forget. Like you can see for me, I'm forgetting these simple commands. Like I just to remove. Yeah, I'm forgetting. So you can write down this git remote remove origin. So this is just a command to remove the origin. Okay, the current repository, so that I can use what the one the one here that we are creating here at this organization. So I'll have to again do the git add git remote git remote add origin, git remote add origin. Then you'll specify now, you'll add in now the link, and then now you can see I don't get the error. And then if I want to push, you'll have again to do the git. Remember, if you have not saved the files, make sure that it is saved by doing the git commit. First of all, you need to have done the add and all that. But then now I can just say git. When I say git push, I'm going to get here an error. I'm going to get this an error because it's a new repository, so it doesn't remember the upstream that you had set. So to set, you just say git push dash or u or upstream, then origin, and then your main branch, main. And then for the one who asked about how you can push on your organization repository, basically that's how you do it. Let me know if you are answered. There's someone who asked. Let me know. Are you answered, Shakina? Whoever, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so guys, basically that's how you do it. And guys, there's something also that I was given 10 minutes. So guys, when you, for example, you want to contribute somewhere, let's say you want to contribute somewhere, let's assume that you have this project. Okay, like I have a project in my account. Let me go to my let me go to let me go to my profile, and then to these repositories, and then let's have this test package that it's here. Let's say you want to contribute somewhere, or maybe to an open source project, because we say that these things are usually have community support. Like for example, when you go to Pandas, or maybe when you go to Linux distribute this, or maybe any other open source programs. Like we usually have like a lot of people who are contributing to it. So how do you contribute? To contribute, you'll need to first of all you'll need to first of all make to fork that repository. To fork is like you're trying to copy the code that is in that repository now to be on your computer, on your repository, on your account repository. So because I'm working on one account, I want to fork it to my organization that I've just created. So to fork, you go to that project, okay, that repository, then there's this part of the fork. I don't know the interface that will look on your end, but then just click on that repository. And then now you need to select the owner. You'll need to select the owner because for me, I have many branches, okay, or many organization. So I'm going to just find, I think it was test one dev, test one dev, like that. Then I will do it to focus, like it is like to copy. So now it is where? It is now on my this what do you call it? This organization. So once you've done the forking, the next thing that you want to do is to to clone. To clone is like you want to make a copy, or maybe have like here you've copied from another repository, from a different person repository, and then now it's now on your account repository, but then you want to have it on your computer. So what you'll do, you'll click here on the code, get this link. Okay, this GitHub link. Then let's try to create a new one, a new repository. Let's just say forked repo, or whatever name you wish to give it. And then let me open this. Let me open that folder in VS Code. So I have that folder, like an empty repository on my okay, like an empty folder. It's not a repository actually, an empty folder on my computer. So to create a repository, first of all, let's have the terminal to create the. Okay, let's have the terminal, and I'm using the git bash. So to clone, the command to use is git clone. I think git clone. Then you add in the link. Then when you click enter, it's going to clone, but you notice that it's also creating another folder inside this fork repository. So if you want it to be at the root, I found like it to be at the root. Let me first of all delete. Like if I want to have that repository at the root, because I've opened this terminal, let me try to remove and delete. It's saying my internet is unstable. Are you able to hear me, guys?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So guys, I'm trying to, okay, let me try to close this VS Code, and then I'll try again. Let me try again. Oh, not, I think it wasn't this one. I wanted like to delete from this other side. I wanted to delete this one. Oh yeah, it is deleted finally. Then CMD, and then okay, and then let me open it. Like I'm just trying to open that folder on the VS Code. Remember I told you that for me, I like working with the VS Code in the event I want to push my code in, because it has those extensions where I can easily track the status of my code, that Git lines. That's the major reason as to why I like working with Git on my VS Code. So I'm going to open still the terminal, but then now this time, I'm going to use still git clone, but I don't want to create another folder, git clone, and then I'm going to add here. Remember, if you want to like add it to the current directory, always make sure that use this dot. This period, whenever you're using it, it always refers to the current directory. So it means that I want to clone, but at this current directory, don't want to like have another folder. So when I click enter, you notice that I'll have the code here, the root. So now this is my code that I've, first of all, I forked from someone else's code base. It went to my organization, or maybe my account repo. And then now I've done what I've cloned to my computer. I want to contribute. So what I try to do here, let me just assume that, let me just duplicate this code. Okay, like I just make some changes. Remember, I'm just using these basic things to demonstrate. So once you do that, make sure that you always do git add. Now, when you clone, remember it already tracks what? It already tracks the, what do we call it? Like your remote account. Okay, like the GitHub account. So you don't need to do the git remote add, because you have already cloned, which has what the gitting, like it has that repository link here already included whenever you're using the fork. So I can say git add now to track just the computer files, git add, and then git commit. I can say I'm contributing, then I'll do push. Okay, I'll just click enter, sorry. And then I'll push now this code So let me say git push. Okay, I need to set the upstream. Oh, it has worked. Oh, okay, the upstream was already set on this code. So, so I've pushed, I made some changes to my code. So now when I go here, you'll notice that I have what these changes in each file. This one contribute. Now modify this one. Now, if I want to contribute, you can click here and then open a pull request. Otherwise, guys, you can click here on the pull request. You can click on the pull request, and then you can click here new pull request. Remember, first of all, it was at the code, so you can easily click here contribute, or you can click here create new pull request here pull request, and then I click here new pull request. New pull request. Then you can do it. You can like it's going to show you what you are trying to contribute, or maybe the code data you want to contribute here. So it's going to like show you these things, and you want to do what you want to push from your so this like you're trying to compare like yours is ahead, like this account is ahead, so you're trying to push, like it's going to like display this mini arrow to show you're pushing to this base repository. Yours is your head repository if it's ahead. Then you do what you click here create pull request, and then you can give it a title, perhaps I'm contributing to the code base. I saw it was some issues I've tried to fix, and then you can write descriptive what was involved and what does your code do and all that. You can write those markdown commands here. Okay, like you can write like your description with this rich text editor. Once you feel like your code is good, then you can click here, create a pull request. Then when you click here, it's going to notify the owner of the account, owner of the repository, that someone is trying to contribute. So because I'm still the owner, it's going to notify me. But if it's someone new or someone else, it will send them the email that someone is trying to contribute here. So let me try to go to my account, my profile, and I go to repositories, and then I go to the newly created repository, these packages. You'll notice that you'll see the pull request notification there at the top. You can see pull request. So I will check the request, and then you will do what you click on it first. And then you want to inspect the code. You'll want to first of all inspect the code before you do it, before you merge the code. So you can go through, for example, what he had written. You can check the code very well to find if they are trying to inject some code, or maybe some what do you call them, like some malwares or something that will affect the system. You don't want like to merge the code that will trigger or maybe affect the system. So you can inspect, and then you can do what you can click here, review changes. You can write some comment. For example, if you see that you want them to provide a documentation, you can write like any comment here. For example, don't run this on, or maybe for example, someone is trying to inject some issues, some command that will affect the system. You can address them, or maybe you can say your code is not aligning with the organization policies or whatever it is. You can write whatever comment it is, then I click submit review, and then people will contribute. It could be you or many other people will contribute to it. So once everything is fixed, perhaps you might be contributing, but on your contribution also, it has issues. So people will be adding or maybe contributing to that code. If you wish, like I want to remove the request, you can do that. But then, for example, once people have reviewed your code and they are satisfied with your code, then you can do it. Click here, merge pull request. To merge is like you're trying to push it now to your main branch. So when you push there, then the code, your pull request, it will be closed automatically. It will be closed automatically. Now, what happens if you are pushing on from your main branch? Let's assume that there are changes that you've made to your main branch. This is our main branch, I believe. Main branch. So anytime you do that, you need to do the git pull. Git pull. Assuming this is our main account. I hope so. I hope so. So anytime like you make changes, like I've done the so this one is already up to date. I'm not sure if this is the one that we are running or are this the, I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure. Let me see. Okay, one day, let me assume this is the case. Let me try to modify. First of all, I need to do the git fetch to fetch the changes. And then I do the, first of all, git pull should be for, fetching and also including or maybe merging. Git pull is a command to fetch and at the same time to pull. But let me try to modify my code. I'm sorry. The issue is that here I'm not sure which branch I'm using, but I guess if you, okay, let me try to use direct on the, I think this one will be easier. Let me try to modify direct on the GitHub. Let me modify this file because there I'm not sure which folder I'm using. I'll need to like inspect and know more about it. But here, let me try to edit. So when I edit and I edit my code, let me commit. Let me just do a commit. So anytime I do this, so this is my main branch. Now for you on your organization, your organizations, and we are going to, these are one, test one dev, and then to whatever repository you had used for that contribution where you're trying to contribute. Let me go there. And then I think this test package that you have deployed, and then you can do what you can see. You can see now we have this sync commit. Like for example, if the changes has been made on your main account, you can do what you can. Click here, sync to always update from what is has been made from the main or maybe original repository. You can click there just to merge. You can choose to compare or not. If you compare, you'll see what you're trying, what is being added and what is being removed. But then let me just click here, update the branch. Then it's going to have what the updated changes. Now, guys, I was talking about the packages earlier. I said that once we deploy it, we'll talk about on how you can download. Remember, we created the setup tools as we try to wind down. So now, guys, because we had created a package, now we want to install it. I want to quickly, guys, I see time has gone, but I'm trying to like maximize on this because it's the last one. Let me just see if I can create here a Jupyter notebook. I want to show you how we can now install that package and I use it. Let's see. I want to install it on this notebook. Remember, you can use the CLI to install, but you can as well use the notebook to install the dependencies. And guys, I also like a Git is very broad. I haven't talked about everything, but I want to talk about how you can install now the package that you had created. So you just do a pip install, then I'll say git plus. Let me zoom in so that you can see well. So pip install git plus git, and then this information. So when you run this code, it's going to do what? It's going to like install. But let me just run this one on the CLI so that you'll see. So let me install it in the system. Remember, it's a package that we created, so it is somewhere in the cloud. But there you can as well use. Let me just share with you the code. So let me share with you. So when you run this code on your CLI, you'll notice that you'll have that package that we created. You can try by there on your end. Just go to the CLI and then type there git, okay, pip. Hey, by the way, sorry guys, that's not the correct command. It should begin with the pip. Let me share with you the updated command. So that's the command pip install git plus the repository link. And then so it has already installed here. But then if you are to use the CLI, if you are to use the CLI, then you just have to do it. Type there pip install, pip install whatever. Okay, pip install git plus the repository that has your package. This way, it will be installed on your system. Remember the package, we gave it a name. We gave it a name. We gave it a particular name. I'm not sure. Let's see. So it is using what it is, setup.py is our package. First of all, let's see the name that I had given it. So the package is, okay, this is the package that we created in the setup. The package name is testing package. So we created that package. So we want to use. I believe you'll be able to know how you can use it. Let's try to get a code that we can demonstrate with it, like this one. So now, guys, I want you to try this code. Once you have installed, I want you to try this code and see if you'll be able to get the output. Can you run this code on your computer and see if you'll be able to see the output? And then you can confirm here. First of all, you need to install with the PIP, the package, and then I try to run this one, and then I'll see if you can, if you'll be able to get the output. And then let me know. As you do that, guys, I say that always, whenever you're working on a GitHub, make sure that you are creating issues so that you can assign people. So to create an issue, I don't know what it is. When you want to create an issue, I want to find it. Don't know if it's in actions or there's somewhere where you create it, not here actually. It should be on a repository. Then there should be somewhere where you can create issues, guys. So when you create, I can't find it well. And also, guys, the time has run out. But then there's somewhere where you can create issues. Like, for example, if you are working with other people, you want to do what you want to like assign them issues such that they don't work on a file, because you notice that when you're working on the same file, when you want to merge, you'll have what conflicts. You'll have the conflicts when you'll be trying to merge. So guys, I believe you'll try this one, but I'm sure it will work. First of all, you try to do the pip install git plus this whatever, then run this code. Run this code. Has anyone managed to install and run this code? So as you do that, I want to hand it over to Aisha. Guys, today we've taken a lot of time. Well, I've talked for 2 hours, non-stop. And that's not a joke. Talk 2 hours non-stop. Guys, am I still there by the way? Am I still in the meeting? I might be talking to myself. Let me see.
Yes, you're still in the meeting. I can hear you.
All right.
Oh my God,
So I think
it's been... Okay, do you want to say something?
Actually, for me, I think I'm done unless there are questions. Okay, so let me know if you've understood or you have any questions.
Hey, God, this was a lot. All right, we've been here for more than 2 hours, and I was like, let me allow you since today is the last day of class. Tomorrow we are just doing like question and answers. We are giving feedbacks and all of those stuff. So guys, I would right now, this is the end of today's class. I want you guys to tell me in the comment section if you really understood what Mr. Nehemiah said. If you don't understand, you can go back and run some codes on your laptop. If you have a problem, come back tomorrow and ask. It's very free. The same time. So I would share a Google Sheet in the community so that you can enter your name, your email, and your phone number the way you want it to be on your certificate. Some of us, we did not register with the name that we usually have on our certificate, and I don't want anybody to be having issues when it comes to giving out certificates. So for people that are asking about our paid bootcamp, Our paid bootcamp will probably commence in April, like maybe March ending or April. Our paid bootcamp will commence. So get ready. It's not costly at all. Honestly, I'm telling you that I don't know the price yet, but it wouldn't be costly because we've considered everyone. We've considered students. We've considered people in the uni. We've considered people that have responsibilities, and we are putting that into consideration. So yeah, if you are interested in the paid bootcamp, make sure you stay active in the community because I will be dropping information about the paid bootcamp. Also, guys, we'll be having different events, community events. I would really love to see you guys in our community event. It doesn't end in bootcamp, right? Because we'll continue to share information, we'll continue to share different things in the community. So make sure that you're also active in the community. I am still begging you guys to always talk in the community. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one talking. I want you guys to comment. I want you guys, if you see any resources, share in the community. There are people that would also make use of that. I would be happy that you shared. If you also have questions, ask in the community, even if it is not related to what you've learned. That's why we have the community to discuss, to share, to talk to people that we have the same goals, right? So yeah, that'll be all for today. We've already taken time. This is already 4:25. Guys, I'm so sorry. I have shared the last class in the community, the YouTube. I have shared it in the community. You can check it out. I would also share this one either tonight or tomorrow, right? So that you can also like take a look at it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as you're watching the video. It really means a lot to us. We are not getting paid for this. However, if we get to monetize our YouTube channel, we can actually get money to pay our instructors. Do you get? So yeah, it would really, really be appreciated. Also, make sure that you're following us on our social media, right? Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a very good ride with all of you. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow at the same time. Yeah, I will share the Google Sheets in the community so that you can fill in your name. Thank you guys once again. I will see you tomorrow. Do have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye, guys.